How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. And today I'm going to be talking about the world waking up. Now, I think things are shifting really fast in the world. And today I was just chilling and I was on social media and I saw a video of he's a philosopher YouTuber. I don't know his full name, but I'll put his name and his channel on the screen. But his name is Alex, and he's been really popping and he's been really he's been a really big name recently in like philosophy and just sort of just like the YouTube field and the intellectual space, like I'll say. And so today he uploaded a video on he uploaded a podcast with this Swami. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but basically it's a Swami. It's a master, a spiritual master in a Hinduism philosophy called Advaita Vedanta. And this is a really big sign and a great sign for the world. I mean, it means the world is truly waking up, and a few reasons why. And there's other things of I'm not just this incident, but this incident really stuck out to me, like this podcast that he uploaded, um, and basically it's because we have in the Western world a certain understanding of the world where we view the world very materialistically, and that's like our philosophy of the world is very empirical. It's very scientific. um, we care a lot about the physical world, and we kind of neglect our spiritual lives. We don't really have an exact framework of how we go about it. Christianity is I guess the most popular one in the Western world. The thing with that though is that Christianity has not been so popular ever since the birth of science. But it has been arriving, and there have been people coming back to Christianity, but I think they're coming back to it in a different and new revived way. But still, I think Christianity could have some gaps that could be filled. But I really think the best approach into learning about the world or about the truth of the world or spirituality um, is about looking at all religions and kind of finding the deep truths that cross over in each religion. Because, in my opinion, I think each religion, each philosophy, all kind of point to the same general truths. And that's what wisdom is. So, recently, this Alex philosopher guy, he's very into the Western world. He, I think, was atheist, agnostic. He's been exploring Christian themes, but he's mainly just stuck to the Western side. But now finally he's looking into Eastern philosophy. Now that is really big. And I think there's this connection or this idea between like merging the Eastern world perspectives and merging it with the Western world perspectives. The Eastern world, Eastern philosophy tends to be very spiritual, very about the inner world and not so much about the outer world, um, like our inner experience. And so I think merging the Western philosophy, which is focuses a lot on I guess physicalism and like materialism, and merging it with this more inner framework that the Eastern philosophy has. Um, I think there's a beautiful unity in that, and there can be a lot of connections, a lot of truth, a lot of progress made into understanding the world more comprehensively. I mean, I'm somebody who likes to look at all perspectives, as many as possible, and be open to as many as I can, and evaluate my position from there. But as soon as you're closed off to a position, I think you may be missing some sort of truth or something that you may learn, or something that you can learn from that philosophy, or from whatever it is in life. So, for this guy, for this Alex guy to do a podcast with and finally get into Eastern philosophy as somebody who's he's really into Western philosophy, like really was like an atheist agnostic, was open to learning about Christianity, but like a genuine questioning and curiosity, really trying to get to the bottom of things. And now one thing he's been really exploring is consciousness and the philosophy of mind. How does consciousness arise? Because with materialism, it doesn't really answer the question as to how consciousness arises. And so with this Eastern philosophy, it actually has the answers as to what Alex is looking for and what he's been thinking about and exploring. And for me, I've actually been into Hinduism for a while. I go to an ashram every Sunday, and they practice Kriya Yoga there, and they're really big as well as on Ida Vedanta teachings. Excuse my pronunciation on that, but yeah, they're really big on that, and that's exactly which is a specific branch in Hinduism. Hinduism's a big religion that has many different branches. It's very sophisticated. But they were going over this one specifically for certain reasons because it is very philosophical and not so much theological, but it requires experience and reasoning. So you can almost empirically get to these truths. And so, yeah, I mean, here's Alex, you know, getting this interview with this guy who's very intelligent and very well versed in his religion and in his philosophy. And I think that's a huge thing because for me, this Advaita view and Hinduism has really helped fill in the gaps for me in my understanding of my world and with my psychedelic experiences as well because it they use a non-duality perspective, meaning that they don't separate the world into just okay, the world is just material, and then we have our spirit world and in some other place is just different. It's non-dual. There's no everything is almost one. So meaning that everything, the physical and our spiritual, like I guess I guess the spiritual aspect of life and the physical aspect of life are one. There is no difference between them. There's no separation. And for me, this has helped me to understand my psilocybin experiences and the oneness that you experience when you're off a certain amount of like a very high dosage of psilocybin. And so and there's a lot of beautiful implications that come out of that because if there's no separation between anything and meaning that you are one with the universe, there is no separation between you and the physical world or you with that other person or where that consciousness arises from. You start to treat everything a lot kinder and like as if it was yourself. And you don't feel so lonely. You feel extremely connected because you realize everything is ultimately you. So I think this non duality perspective has so much to teach the Western world and has helped me personally in my own spiritual journey, has helped me so much and has brought me a lot of peace and joy and connection and a lot of love because, I treat everyone as if they were myself. So there's a lot of beautiful implications. And so I think him uploading this podcast is huge, and the world, that's a really big shift for the world. So the world is really waking up and a lot faster than I expected because if that information is going out there in the mainstream, because Alex is pretty becoming more mainstream now, that is really big for the world. A lot of people are going to take a lot of inspiration, are going to learn a lot from that podcast. And even Alex himself, I think it's going to be very beautiful to see how he integrates these teachings into his own way of looking at the world and what he learns, from this philosophy, from Eastern philosophy. And so, very beautiful. I think this has been the gap that has been missing again in the United States. We are materialistically rich, but we are spiritually poor, and this is where the Eastern world can help because they are spiritually rich because they have very ancient traditions that specifically work on the spiritual world. So this is beautiful. But this isn't the only thing that I've seen of the world waking up. There was something else I had seen about Sneeko. And if you don't know, Sneeko's a popular influencer. He's a big streamer right now, and he's a pretty influential guy. And recently, he had this interview with this I forgot the guy's name, but he's a professor, and I think that his channel's called The Secret History or something, and his lectures have been blowing up on YouTube. And rightly so, because his lectures are absolutely amazing. He is brilliant. Um, the way he articulates everything and paints the whole picture together, and he has this beautiful way of merging different subjects like geopolitics, history, religion, philosophy, and merging them into a way where you can have a complete understanding of the world. And he, makes the connections between everything. So it's very beautiful. I highly suggest it. Um, and I'll put a video up on the screen. But he, this video I watched, well, first, like, the video I watched was super amazing. It's called the Secrets of the Universe. I highly suggest that. It goes really deep into mind programming and religion and philosophy. Really insightful video. And with this, him being on the Sneeko interview is really big because I've seen this guy for a while, and he's really resonated with my views. And I thought he had a lot of deep truths to share. Um, and he's really waking people up with his lectures. And he's a very blunt, and he's not ashamed about it. He's very honest. And Sneeko, you know, has now finally put him on his big platform. So now you have this super woke professor who was basically giving all these truths and all these, I think, messages that need to be heard right now, and is now put on a big platform where people that are younger, people that have a different outlook from him, are being fed this message. So again, this is big. This is very pivotal and transformative. I know Sneeko's going to have him on again next month. So this is really big. Again, he does such a beautiful job of waking people up to how school institutions, mind program you, how they convince you and gaslight you, how the government, deceives you into playing into the system. And, I'm nowhere, he's an amazing lecturer and really has a beautiful way of articulating things, and I can never get close to his way of saying things and explaining things. So I highly recommend it because I wish I could be him to try to explain these things. And I will try, but he does an absolutely brilliant job. And so these are big things because these are sort of lining up. These, having the Alex guy with that Eastern philosophy spiritual master, and then also having this professor who's woke and very spiritual and is very honest. And for Sneeko to have somebody like that on, plus this guy and the Alex, and there's a big shift happening in the world. People are truly waking up, and it's happening very fast. You're going to see more and more of it. It's going to happen faster than I expected. So keep your eye out for that because people are really waking up. What I find really beautiful is that there's people like Sneeko and Alex who have very different perspectives on the world. Sneeko is Muslim. Alex is, I think, agnostic. Maybe leaning a little bit towards Christianity. I don't know. But they have pretty different views on the world. But both of these guys are both coming into sources which I find very valuable and that I think are the sources that need to be heard right now. So both of these mainstream guys are picking up on these more underground guys, but are spitting truth, in my opinion. And so this is a really big thing. We've been seeing this sort of merge between, again, the Eastern understanding versus the Western world understanding. We saw that with Dr. K, a famous American psychiatrist who brings in sort of yoga philosophy, yoga philosophy into his psychiatrist practice, and he has a very comprehensive understanding of the mind, and so yeah, we've been seeing this emerge, but now it's coming really fast, really strong, and so this is great news. The world is definitely waking up, and I'm very excited to see how this develops. I'll be recommending the content in I guess in the bottom in the description or whatever. Show up the videos on the screen, but yeah, I highly recommend you guys check it out. There's a lot to learn. just keep an open mind and really try to understand what these guys are pointing to, because I think this is the sort of information that and knowledge, truths that can set people free. And so, and, I just quit my job, so that it kind of lines up with me. But anyways, so I just felt like sharing all this, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay blessed, stay at peace. I love you guys all, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.